I'm Meghan Mutrie, and this is your Rugby Rundown, previewing the top professional action for the second weekend of January. It will be a shorter rundown today because winter is still having its way with most of the Northern Hemisphere, so it's not just your parents talking about the weather anymore, as 5 fixtures have been postponed due to the cold. At the time of this broadcast, 3 fixtures in the Guinness Premiership, as well as 2 in the Magners League, had been cancelled. The matches between the Sharks and the Saracens, Newcastle and Gloucester, as well as Northampton's planned visit to Bath will all be rescheduled. Northampton was in this week's headlines regardless of their match on Saturday. In a touch of irony, Scotland international Ewan Murray has announced he won't be a Saint next Sunday in Northampton's Heineken Cup match against Perpignan. The prop's religious decision to keep Sunday sacred means he is also in line to miss Scotland's Six Nations clash with France on February 7th. 3 matches in the 13th round of the Guinness Premiership will go ahead this weekend regardless of the cold. The London Wasps will face the Leicester Tigers at Welford Road. The Tigers were responsible for the Saracens' second loss of the season last weekend and will undoubtedly be on a high coming into this one. The visiting Wasps sit only 1 spot back of Leicester, who, along with the Saints, are the best team in the Premiership at the moment as far as form goes. The Harlequins may have nabbed themselves a potential Puma when they sign second row Tomas Vajos for the remainder of the season. The Argentine will get his first look at the Premiership, likely from the bench, when Leeds Carnegie pays a visit to the Stoop on Saturday. The Quins are marginal favourites in this one. In fact, any team who play Leeds are, as Leeds are in the basement. However, the Quins have lost 4 straight in all competitions, so the Twickenham fans who brave the weather may be in for a close match. Worcester, Leeds' only neighbour on the table, are having a rough go this season as well. It would be a huge statement for Worcester to beat 3rd place London Irish on Saturday, although the last match between these two ended in a draw. The Irish have the Premiership's top point scorer in Ryan Lamb with 116, but Worcester have been disciplined this season in their number of penalties thus far, so it may not matter. Up to the Magners League for the last set of fixtures before the start of the Six Nations. Last place Connaught have had a mini holiday, albeit in the midst of the freeze, as they will have had 2 weeks off now as their match against the Dragons has been postponed. The Ospreys' visit to Ravenhill to play Ulster has been cancelled as well. Weather permitting, the Glasgow Warriors head to Ireland on a high, having won the sport's 1872 Cup last weekend. Leinster forwards coach John O'Gibbs is hoping the weather will improve as this is an important match for his side. He said, "It's pretty important that the match goes ahead, but also because we're back in the RDS and we get to face the top of the table team. They're really confident and have been consistently performing this year, so we get to measure ourselves and take them on and try to challenge them." Leinster will try to put a stop to Glasgow's momentum, but with a win, Glasgow could set a new unbeaten record in the Magners. Scotland has a lone Saturday game as Edinburgh are home to the Cardiff Blues. Edinburgh lost to Glasgow last weekend, but maintained their 5th place spot on the table. 10 games into the season, and the Blues are still searching for their first win on the road. On Sunday, Scarlets have a daunting task when they visit Munster and Musgrave Park, who are unbeaten in 13 home games in all competitions. On top of that, Scarlets haven't had a victory on Munster soil in a short 7 years, and an injury report has come back for fly-half Stephen Jones, who will sit out 2 weeks for his shoulder. He went down in a win though, and Scarlets are looking to build on their New Year's Eve victory, which snapped a 4-game losing skid. Now, all of the top 14 matches are a go, starting with Perpignan and Racing Metro on Friday night. Perpignan have just received news that their international centre, Maxime Mermoz, will most likely miss a month due to a pulled shoulder in last weekend's loss to Brive. Metro sit 1 spot above Perpignan on the table, and with only 3 points separating the two, it should be close, though Perpignan's midfield will be exposed without Mermoz. Perpignan will try to avoid their 5th straight loss. Last Sunday, Toulon were brushed aside with surprising ease by Clermont, so they will be looking for an ego boost on Saturday when they face Montauban, who shouldn't provide too much resistance. Castres will most likely dominate Montpellier, as they have with most of the opposition this season. Impressive Castres haven't scored the most points in the top 14 this year, but they have allowed the fewest. From the top, we head to the bottom with lowly Albi taking on Brive. Brive had a cracker last weekend against Toulon, led by fullback Alexis Palisson. 17 rounds into the top 14 and Bayonne are looking a little lost, and as a byproduct, are flirting with the relegation zone. Bourgeois claimed a narrow win over Racing last weekend and should take advantage of Bayonne's troubles. Biarritz scored an explosion of tries on Sunday and will look to try to build on it again against stumbling Stade, who have the biggest budget this season in the top 14 at 21 million euros. The late match on Sunday should be the one to watch, as both Toulouse and Clermont are in the top form. Clermont are peaking at the right time of the season and are only 2 points behind league leaders Castres.